meaning that the instruction by the governor of our state were not duly carried out for reasons that the said security operatives resorted towards enforcing the said executive orders on places which were not designated by the state government, such areas where persons were intimidated and harassed on the street, Axis, Niger Street, Bender Street, Victoria Street, respectively. We therefore are calling on the state government to give a further directive to all security agencies towards enforcement.
In the meantime, one Chief Ibe Mbagu Nechiagu, who is an indigene of Aga community in Ogba Egbema in the local government, has accused some stakeholders in the community of carrying out activities that violates the governor's lockdown order.
They are in the market now. I'm talking with you. No social distance. They come to the street close to the market. They are talking with you now. The market is on. No social distance. As I'm talking with you now, a lot of structures are hosting in the community. Anything from 5, 6 this evening, the whole people in the community will feed us. That is why that is somebody like me. Why somebody like me is crying, because if chief of staff to the president will contact that sickness and die. That is the tell us that thing is real. And the thing is real, and I'm afraid because nobody knows who be affected.
The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has announced a move to make the wearing of face mask compulsory in the state from next week. The governor made the declaration while giving an update on the fight against COVID-19 in Lagos State. Sanwo-Olu said this administration has commissioned the production of over 1 million pieces of face masks, adding that distribution will commence soon.
Athletes are professionals and they have to readjust, and it's good that their tournaments are cancelled or are postponed. They give them a fixed date when they hope that it will happen, because athletes need that fixed date to reset their training. Also, you see, it's a blessing in disguise for some that we are not prepared, either through injuries or coming back from injuries. It gives them a second hope to get themselves down and to start competing again. So it's mixed blessing, but the majority of them, those are the ones that are ready to compete. They just have to keep on training. We know it's an unfortunate thing, it's not going to happen all the time, and then readjust themselves to their training program for the new dates fixed. So I don't know if it's going to help us as far as brighten our chances, but I think in terms of Nigeria now, the Minister of Sports has put in things to alleviate the athletes that are going to lose income. So that might motivate them more, and might see this kind of gesture might show that the government is actually looking after you or looking at your back, give them more impetus to work harder and to win medals. But I think all the way I'd said that we are not really fully as prepared for an Olympics as we should be, or a major championship. And 1 year still might not be enough. It takes 4 years to prepare for that. So we're still going to go to Tokyo. I might assess what we think we'll win. But I'm still saying that we'll win about 2 or 3 medals. I don't know about the color of the medal, but that will be a good return for us based on our lack of preparation.
The index case of coronavirus in Ondo State has recovered from the disease. This was disclosed by the state governor, Rotimi Akeredolu. Governor Akeredolu made the announcement in a series of tweets via his Twitter handle. The case is a military officer who returned from India. There are now fears that hospital transmission of COVID-19 may be imminent in Nigeria. This is according to the national president of the National Association of Residents, Dr. Aliyu Sukumba. The NARD president, who spoke on a television program monitored from Port Harcourt, said hospital transmission of the dreaded virus will pose a serious challenge for the nation.
Beyond the disease spreading in the community, which I believe we are all aware of, the disease is already at the community level, we are beginning to have a situation where this disease is now going to be spreading in the hospitals. We're going to be having hospital transmission of this disease. It's going to be a very serious condition, because unlike what is obtainable in communities where one patient can just spread it to 2 to 3 people, if we are having hospital transmission of this disease, we will have a situation where one healthcare worker, a nurse or a doctor, will be spreading this disease to as much as 50 to 100 other patients who probably have come to the hospital to seek care for their regular ailments. And this is already happening in Nigeria, so I'm not surprised.
The NARD president also decried low COVID-19 testing level in Nigeria since the virus broke out.
At stand right now, we have not done adequately enough, so I'm not surprised that the figures are beginning to rise. The trend of the new cases is beginning to rise. At the outset of this outbreak, since this outbreak broke out about 9 weeks ago, So far, we have only tested about 7,000 people in Nigeria, and out of which we are recording about the 627 people that are testing positive to this disease. In about the same period, Ghana, our near neighbor, had tested about 60,000 people, and South Africa has tested about 108,000 people. And so the more people are tested, the more people will be identified, they will be isolated, and the spread of the disease will be contained. So from what we have on ground right now, it's obvious that we need to do more in testing people, and by so doing, we'll be able to identify more people, isolate them in good time, and prevent further spread of this disease.
In the meantime, the National Agency for Food Administration and Control has announced that some COVID-19 rapid testing kits are expected into the country in a moment from now. This comes days after the agency approved the importation of rapid testing kits, which is expected to give results for coronavirus tests within a short time. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojishola Adeyeye, who spoke on television program Monitor from Port Harcourt, said the agency gave the emergency approval for the importation of the kits, which will, however, be subjected to a validity testing by the reference laboratory in Abuja.
What we approved are the disposable test kits, and we are expecting those, or the companies that ordered them are expecting those in the country anytime from now. We gave a provisional emergency approval for the rapid test kits, pending validation by reference labs. The reference labs are in Abuja and Lagos. It is after the reference lab tests for the sensitivity and specificity that we will then give we can then give full approval for the test kits to be imported, or more of the test kits to be imported into the country. Without the validation, we will not give full approval.
You're listening to the World News at 6 and Today95.1 FM, Voice of the People. After this break, more news, foreign and sports stories. Please do stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest.
Today, we think that from next week, when we think we will have wrapped up production and distribution, we're going to be asking that face masks to compulsory.
Voice of the People.
And we're back.
You're still listening to news on Today95.1 FM, Voice of the People. Welcome back. Apologies for the mix-up. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has announced move to make the wearing of face mask compulsory in the state from next week. The governor made a declaration while giving update on the fight against COVID-19 in Lagos State. Now, Sanwo-Olu said his administration has commissioned the production of over 1 million pieces of face masks, adding that distribution will commence soon.
We think that from next week, when we think we will have wrapped up production and distribution, we're going to be asking that face masks should compulsorily be worn at public places. This is part of the deliberations that we have had to go through extensively today. And I must say that we have commissioned over 1 million production locally from various tailoring companies and outfits that we have. And we intend to start distributing them in the course of the week. But we also must mention that people must not rush to now go and be buying the medical grade mask. The medical ones are for our medical personnel, and as you can see, myself and my other colleagues, we're not wearing any N90 face mask. We've started, rebranding ourselves to wear, the local made, which we believe will be adequate and sufficient and will meet, the spirit and the era of wearing face masks.
Now to the rest of the bulletin, but before that, remember to wash your hands regularly with soap at all times. Always use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Observe social distancing. Stay at home if you can. Avoid touching eye contact surfaces. Imo State Governor Opuzodime has announced plans to rename the state-owned Imo State University after the late Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari. The governor disclosed this when the management staff of the university, led by the Vice Chancellor Adaobi Obasi, paid him a visit at Government House Owerri. According to a statement from his chief press secretary, Ogowike Wachuku,